Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another fantastic edition of the show. Super grateful to have you here listening and watching us because there's so many options out there, so much great content. You can be in a whole lot of places tuning into a whole lot of things, but you're here with us. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And if you hear anything, and I'm sure that you will, that rocks your boat, makes you say, man, somebody else needs to hear that, then do that. Don't be stingy. Share this episode out with your friends. Put it on your IG stories and tag us at His and Her Money, and we will shout you out back and thank you. So, guys, listen, we do our best to diversify content here to make sure that we are helping you in every area of your life. The motto here is taking dominion over your life and your money. And a big part of that, man, is the work that you do for a living. There's so much information out here about everybody should just quit their jobs and start a business. And yeah, we believe in having more than one way of making money, but man, it's also for most people, you're going to work a job. You're going to work a career. And for a lot of people, according to research and according to a fantastic book that I read about today's author, there's a whole lot of people doing work that they just not happy with. They might be good at it, but they don't love it. And we don't want that to be you because that's not what dominion looks like. Dominion is an authority. It's you taking authority over things, places, and situations. One of those situations you need to take dominion over is your career. And for a lot of people, you feel stuck. You're like, I don't know what to do. It's too late for me. No. We're going to dispel all that today because we have the one and only Ken Coleman back with us because he has written a fantastic book that's out right now called From Paycheck to Purpose. You need this book and you need to tune into this episode. So like we say, every episode, get your pen or well, Ken says you should get a pencil, get your pencil, get your notebook or open up your notes app and get ready to take some fantastic notes because it's going to be worth your while. So we're going to get Ken on and we're going to get this conversation started. Hey, Ken, welcome back to the His and Her Money Show.
Oh, man, it's so good to be back. And I love the shout out for the pencil. That's fun, man. I'm a neurotic dude, man. And pencils, they just free my mind and I don't get all hung up. So I always love a reference to a good pencil, man. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, man, we're glad to have you back. Last time you were here, you were talking about your last book, The Proximity Principle. And now you have a fantastic new book out that just hit the shelves called From Paycheck to Purpose. So talk to us about the journey from the proximity principle to your newest release, From Paycheck to Purpose. And what are we going to find out about ourselves, our journey, our lives in this book compared to what we found out when you were here talking to us last time about the proximity principle?
Yeah. So, the proximity principle is kind of like the first 3 episodes of Star Wars that came out. And then we realized, oh, wait a second, there's stories before we got to those episodes. And the proximity principle was a deep dive on stage 3 of the 7 stages that we unveil and unpack in From Paycheck to Purpose. And I remember when we wrote it, we were relatively new. I was about a year and a half into the radio show on Sirius XM and YouTube, podcast, all the things. And it was like, okay, I want to write a book that will help people get where they want to go. And so we did a deep dive on the proximity principle, which says in order to do what you want to do, you got to be around people that are doing it and in places where it is happening. So it was the ultimate, and still is the ultimate connecting book, like the art of connecting and diving deep. How do you do that? Well, so what's happened is so I put it out and a lot of people bought it and it was successful. But then we had a lot of people go, this is awesome to help me get where I want to go, but I don't know where I want to go. Help me with that. And so the evolution here between the 2 books is that the proximity principle is a deep dive of stage 3, get connected. But From Paycheck to Purpose is the entire journey. So how do I discover what it is I was created to do? How do I get prepared to do it. Where do I do it? How do I get the opportunity? How do I keep moving up? How do I step into that dream job? So those are the big questions. And as you know, the 7 stages: get clear, get qualified, get connected, get started, get promoted, get the dream job, give yourself away. That's the entire journey, and that's what's unveiled in this book. So it was a function of 2 things. Number one, it was early in the journey as I was listening to callers and developing a methodology to help them simplify what is a very scary question to answer and then a scary journey to make. What should I do with my life? And once I figure it out, how do I get there? So now we're approaching 5,000 phone calls that I've done on air live. And shortly after I wrote the proximity principle, I began to really develop what we call the clear path. And that's the 7 stages. So that's why this book is out, because it really is the field guide, the handbook to get to the top of the mountain.
Some people might be saying, it's easy for you to say, Ken. National best-selling author. You're part of the Dave Ramsey team. You're one of the faces of the franchise. Got your radio show. You're on YouTube and satellite radio. Of course, you're already in your purpose. What a lot of people don't know is your backstory. I didn't know all of it. I knew about the sports broadcast. I didn't know about politics. And you had to go through several iterations, which is the birthplace of this content in your book, is your own life. But some people don't know that you're not just writing about something that you heard about. You're writing about something that you lived. You were at a place where you maybe thought it was too late. Your situation, a husband and a father, like, I can't make no switches. I'm just stuck here. So take us back to the birthplace of your own journey, because people just see you where you're at right now and don't understand what you had to walk through to get to the place of purpose that you're trying to help others to get to.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you asking that, because the headlines from my story that you're asking about are a guy who thinks he's absolutely clear on what God's put him on this planet to do at the age of 16. He goes for it, gets some early success, gets on the track, makes preparations for ascending to the top of that mountain, that pinnacle. And at the age of 32, 33, begins to question it. And I began to question politics as the place that I was supposed to be in. I was frustrated with the system, both parties. I was frustrated with what I saw as an opportunity to serve my fellow man, to make the world a better place. That's what I saw it as. And then I began to see that that's not what it is. That's not the place that I am supposed to be, for a variety of reasons. But I just said, man, that's just not it. And that's a terrifying position to be in when you've been on one path for over a decade, and then you realize this isn't the mountain I'm supposed to climb. Now what? And wife, 3 little kids under the age of 3, mortgage, great neighborhood in the Atlanta suburbs. I've got all this intentionality that's led me to this point, and now I'm questioning everything. It's terrifying. And fear and doubt just live on your shoulders. Sleepless nights. Have I wasted my life up to this point? Is it too late to pivot? Good grief, I don't even know what to pivot to. But this is real. And that's what I was facing. And so that's the backstory. And then if you look at where I am now, understand that it also took me just shy of 10 years to step into the position that you just described of what I do now. So those are the headlines. I know what you're feeling. I know what you're thinking if you feel lost or stuck or confused. And it took me almost 10 years to get where I am. So I'm not the quick elevator guy. But I can tell you this, I've climbed the mountain and I've learned a lot, and I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you the strategies to get there. It's possible. It's very possible. I coach men and women every day on the show. And so the book comes from a deep, abiding passion and mission to help people discover who they are and then do it, and do it to the best of their ability. Because absent of that, you will never truly experience purpose. You cannot separate professional purpose from relational purpose. You just can't. You personally and you professionally, they are intertwined, because I believe that we were created to contribute through our work. And so those are the headlines. That's where this entire book comes from, is starting over and dealing with fear and doubt and pride along the way, failing, getting rejected, all the things, but stepping into my dream job, but now changing my view. And I'm making the income and the impact. I'm making money and experiencing meaning. Both are available to all of us. And so that's why I wrote it. And my experience comes to, I think, a tremendous value for the reader, because I give you always a tactical approach in each stage, but I also address the mental and the emotional, because it's the package deal.
I want to talk about two things from that period of your life, the transition part, that you didn't bring up yet, but I think that, man, it's such a heavy weight mentally for folks. Because in your story, when you're having this epiphany, like, I don't think that I am doing what I'm supposed to do, you were successful. You were good at the thing that you were doing that you felt that you weren't supposed to be doing. You also talked about how externally everybody else would have said what Ken is doing is a success. It looks good. You've got the job. You're in the suburbs of a major city. You got the wife. You got the kids. You got the house. But internally, you're struggling. You said you found yourself sleepless in Suckville, is how you put it in the book, at 2 a.m. staring at infomercials because you couldn't sleep, because you were just battling, like, what am I supposed to do? So it's one thing to have this battle internally of, I think I'm supposed to do something different, but then you add to that everybody else thinks that you're a success, and what you set out to do up until this point, quote unquote, has worked. You're not failing at work. Your business isn't failing. Your family isn't failing. It looks like everything is on track except for what you're feeling on the inside. How do we get free from that internal battle that's only becomes heavier by what the picture that we've created looks like to everybody else? I think both are real factors in the mental war that goes into making this transition from paycheck to purpose.
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. And the answer is, you've got to get clear, which is the first stage of the book. It's the most important stage. We'll return to that stage throughout this journey, because here's what happens. I was worried about what other people would think. Like, what? You're 33, you're going to pursue broadcasting? What? You don't know anybody. You don't have a degree, all these things. And then you have your own voices, fear and doubt and pride, kind of telling you, hey, what if you fail? Oh my gosh, what are people going to think of you? Gosh, you're going to put yourself out there and people are going to tell you you're too old. So all those things are coming at you at once. And so we know that the mind is powerful. William James, legendary psychologist, once said, no matter how absurd something is, if you repeat it often enough, people will believe it. And we've seen through time where dictators have done this. Evil people have controlled masses of people. Just if we think of history and political stuff, right? No matter how absurd something is, if you repeat it often enough, people will believe it. The world's flat. Okay, great. There's just tons of atrocities in human history based on an absurdity that was turned into mind control, and it was total garbage. All right, so we understand that. Now let's personalize that. No matter how absurd something is, if I think about it often enough, I start to believe it. And so our absurdities run around inside of our mind. And if we leave them in there unchecked and we don't get them out, we don't talk to other people, we don't get clarity, those absurdities become realities. The absurdity that if I pivot in my career and start a side hustle, that I'm going to become homeless and starve under a bridge. Yeah, I mean, that's an absurdity. But as absurd as that statement is, it will become reality if we don't own that and get it out and go, okay, wait a second. So how do we do it? We've got to have something to measure the fear and the doubt and the pride against. We got to have, because here's the deal. Fear and doubt do protect us at times. I love game of basketball. It's my favorite sport, but I'm 5'8" and I can't jump. Okay. I just can't. It's my reality. All right. So if I go out to the neighborhood basketball hoop and I got a ball in my hand and a guy says to me, hey, can you dunk it? And I look at that rim and everything inside of me goes, there's no chance, Coleman. You might barely be able to touch the net at this stage of your life. I'm doubting my ability to dunk the ball. In that case, doubt's telling me the truth and thus protecting me from humiliating myself. Okay. So that's an absurd example, but that's the truth. Okay. Now, if I have a doubt that, well, I doubt that I can be successful in this area, we got to go, okay, is that the truth? All right. So now let's go and let's look. Do I have the talent? Because the way we get clear is we look at our talent. We have 3 indicators, 3 elements that every human has: talent, passion, mission. Talent is what I do best. Very simple. Hard skills, people skills, character traits. What comes easy to me? What do people compliment me on? Come on, folks. Talent. Raw clay that when we apply practice and knowledge, then we can turn it into a sharpened skill. Okay. Passion, work I love to do. Just the task itself, a function that I like to fill, a role I like to play. What fires me up? I think about it and I get the juice. When I'm in the middle of it, I got the juice. And then the last indicator is mission. What results do I want to create with my work? You know this from my journey, but when I first got into broadcasting, because I do love sports so much, I dabbled in sports broadcasting, and it was talent, yes, the talent of communication. It was passion. I love performing, broadcasting, speaking, communicating. Mission, no. Because I did enough of it that I went, if I did this every day and I was just the next sports talk guy to give my opinion on why the Titans lost last night, right, or whatever the story is of the day, at some point, that's going to get old for me because it's entertainment. And I had to come to grips with the fact that the result I wanted to create was equipping people and encouraging people. Okay, nothing wrong with entertainment. But for me, the result that mattered most, very similar to what you do, right? We want to equip and encourage. So that's what led me to the space that I'm in now. I didn't have this construct that I just laid out for you folks. Talent, passion, mission. I kind of figured it out as I went along, and now I've put some simplicity to it. So the answer to your question is we always go get clear. And when we get clear, here's what happens. Back to the story. Is doubt telling me the truth, or is doubt lying to me? Do I have the talent to do this? Yep. Do I love this work? Yes. Does the result of this work that I'm dreaming about, scheming about, does it connect to my values? Yes. Well, then doubt's wrong. I could do the same thing with the voice of fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of peers, what other people are going to say. Same thing. So when we face fear and doubt and pride, which will say, I don't want to ask for help. No one wants to help me, blah, blah. I don't want to be that guy. What are people going to say about me if I pivot? Because I faced all that. We go back to clarity. And when we retreat back to that clarity and we get clear, watch what happens. Confidence shows up. When I'm clear, that leads to confidence. Oh, okay, great. I can do this. Doubt's wrong. Fear's wrong here. And then confidence will fuel my courage when I need it. So clarity leads to confidence, and confidence leads to courage. That's how we do what you just asked me.
Dope. I told you I'll have your pencil and your paper ready because Ken was going to lay it out for us. So talk about this, because as you were figuring all this out, you were.
Legal & General America is the leader in low-cost term life insurance.
For nearly 70 years,
Legal in General America has been providing financial protection to over 1.3 million families and businesses.
LGA makes understanding and applying for life insurance easy.
You can get a free quote by simply going to hisandhermoney.com/LGA.
Still are, but you were married with children. How did you, as you were going on this journey, how did you invite your spouse in? Because it's one thing to be on this internal journey that you're trying to figure out on your own. It's another thing to, have pledged your life to someone, and you may not, because you don't have all the answers yet, you may be hesitant to bring this up to your significant other. Talk to us about how you did it and how you would encourage those who are listening right now who are definitely resonating with what you're saying, but they have a spouse that, they should factor into this journey as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. In fact, I've never been asked that ever. And I will be vulnerable today because it's a really good question. And I did some things right and I did some things wrong. What I did right was I did share these feelings with Stacy. I shared all of this. I shared what I was feeling, what I was going through, where I was feeling led, where I was, thinking about looking into this, looking into that. I'm going to go do this. And then when I got clear, I did sit down with her and go, hey, I'm going to go for this because I think this is what I'm supposed to do. And this is going to be a long journey. I remember at one point very vividly sitting with her going, I think this could be a 5 to 7 year process before I catch a good break. Are you okay with that? Are you willing to do it? And she said, I'm all in. So that's what I did right. I did communicate the restlessness. I did communicate the discovery process. I did communicate the destination. And I did communicate to say, hey, are you in? Now looking back on it, having talked with her about it, what I did not do well is I did not ask her how that affected her feelings, how it affected her dreams, how she was wrestling with the outcomes and the changes and the sacrifices that we were making for my dream. And if I could go back, guys, I'll talk to dudes here. If I could go back, I would have been more empathetic. I would have asked more questions. I would have listened deeper. I would have brought her into the greater conversation more about us as a result of this. I didn't do that. I have a great wife, and Stacy's amazing. And what I heard was, I'm in, I'll support you. And I was like, oh, great, let's roll. Right. And I took off. And there were times where more times than not, I was pulling her. It was almost like we're tethered and I'm running at breakneck speed. And she's just kind of behind me going, trying not to fall. And I think there were times where she did fall and I kept dragging her. That's what I now know, is that my dream altered her dream. And I regret that I didn't do more to help her come along with the journey. And she did, by the way. Like she did. Like Stacy is nothing but supportive of me. But in my desire and passion to become and do what it is I was supposed to do, I just didn't handle it emotionally well with her. I didn't serve her and the changes that she was having to make that weren't a part of her original script. So I wasn't as understanding, I wasn't as empathetic, and I certainly wasn't as compassionate as I needed to be. And I regret that. I hope that makes sense, but I've never been asked that question. I've never answered it, but without getting into all the instances, that's what I would encourage you dudes to do is, fellas, you got a good woman like I do. and she's supportive of you, that's great, but that's not enough. You're going to have to support her as she supports you. And that's a complex thing.
Nah, that's real good. I think it's something. It's for some, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow because it's not just enough. Like you said, you did the work up front, but there's also the mid journey check-ins that need to happen. Is the pace still good? Is the oh right? So this you did have some ambitions of your own. So are we pausing that? Are we burying that? Or are we going to take a moment to try to pick up the pace on your stuff as well? So it's like the initial conversations are good, and like you said, if you have somebody that's you married the right one, they're going to be like, yeah, let's do it. My same here. My wife has always made me think that I could do things that I didn't necessarily think I could do. But her words were like, jet fuel for me. But then when you take off like a jet, you have to be able to make sure that as you continue on the journey, that you're continuing to check in, you're continuing to do the conversations along the way as well. So I think that was and we appreciate you being transparent here with the audience. That's always super helpful. Now, you have helped us to understand the importance of getting the right clarity, because the clarity is what gives us the confidence to be able to pursue this thing that we're feeling in our heart that we should pursue. Now, the next part is the tough part. You have a line in your book where you say, and I'm going to butcher it just slightly, but essentially you say you have a choice to make between being uncomfortable for a little while or spending the next 10 years miserable every Monday morning as you go into this career that you're not happy with. And so the next part is you got to get qualified for this new thing. You can't it's not just enough to say, if you're a Jesus person, I know the Lord's going to do it. I know the Lord's going to make a way out of no way. He's going to open up the windows of heaven and pour me out a blessing that I don't have room enough to receive. But you need qualification. You need to pursue positioning yourself to be qualified to do this thing. Talk to us about the importance and any tips that you would give the listener who is walking on this journey that you're outlining for us.
Well, you took us there, so I'm going to stay there for a minute. All right. And the reality is that getting clear, stage one, is not enough. And so many Jesus people are sitting in the pews on Sunday morning waiting for the God of the universe himself to come down, tap them on the shoulder, and hand them their opportunity and the yellow brick road with all the little munchkins singing and throwing flowers on the gold bricks as they walk along. And so I'm just going to preach for a second. The Bible says very clearly in Hebrews, it is impossible to please God without faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. And so getting clear and understanding who you are, who the Creator created you to be, is not enough. You got to step out. And when you step out and he sees that you've stepped out and get into that scary place, then he steps in. And so that's get qualified. So come on now, you just got to go, okay, that's not enough. Like, God's not going to do it for me. So I got to get qualified. He gave me the tools, the talent. So now I got to get the knowledge. I got to get the experience. And that's going to cost me some money. And because it's going to cost me money, it's going to take some time. And then, in the book, we give 4 qualifying questions that take away the fear of the unknown. Because the fear of the unknown is the greatest paralyzing factor in our lives. So, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Bottom line is, in the book, we give you the 4 qualifying questions. What do I need to learn? What do I need to do? How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? Very simple. Go answer those questions. And now all of a sudden, you've got yourself all the pieces necessary to put a plan together. One of my favorite toys when I was growing up was Mr. Potato Head. I don't know why that toy was so fascinating to me, but I just love Mr. Potato Head. Now there's Mrs. Potato Head, and, maybe they'll take away the Mr. and the Mrs., and it's just Potato Head. Who cares? The point is, what was fascinating about that toy is you had this potato that had a bunch of holes in it. It was an inanimate object. Then you had eyes and ears and lips and hats and hands and legs and all that stuff. And so you could put it and build it. these pieces to the Mr. Potato Head, it's the same thing here in getting qualified. The fear of the unknown is what paralyzes people. So when we go get answers, okay, do I need a college degree to get where I want to go? If it's not the only way or the best way, great news. There are much more affordable, less time consuming ways to get qualified. So that's the answer to what do I need to learn? What do I need to do? What experience am I going to need? Come on, folks. Stop going for the third rung of the ladder when the only way to get to the third rung of the ladder is the first rung on the ladder. There's a reason why there's rungs on the ladder. You won't believe how many people call the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, Ken, I keep applying for all these jobs and they keep telling me I need more experience. But how do I get the experience if I can't work? Hey, listen, you're going for the wrong rung on the ladder. Come down here and get that experience. Pay your dues. I paid my dues. You got to pay yours. That's the idea of what do I need to do, experience. How much is that going to cost me? Am I going to have to make some sacrifices financially and go back for a short term in order to go forward long term? How much is it going to cost me to get that learning? These are the money questions. And then based on your financial reality, which you teach on every day, we know how long it's going to take. It's going to take 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. In my case, it took 5 to 7 years. But listen, now you got a game plan, and now you know you can get there. And so the fear of the unknown goes away. That's the importance of getting qualified. That's how you come up with a plan to get qualified.
Listen, guys, the subtitle to the book is The Clear Path to Doing the Work That You Love. And it's important that you get this book because for each step of the journey, Ken gives you steps, practical questions that you need to ask, practical exercises that you need to explore that will make this journey much, much easier. A lot of you all are stuck because you don't know what to do. You have this burning desire to change, but you don't know how to execute on that. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to Google it. You don't have to watch 17 YouTube videos. You just got to get Ken's new book, From Paycheck to Purpose. Trust me when I tell you, it is very comprehensive. If you do step 1 and then do step 2 and then do step 3 and on and on and on, all the way through, I think it's like 19 chapters in here of the work that you need to do to get to the place to where you're doing work that you love, you'll be good. Pick up the book. Just want to put that in there. So Ken, as we close, you just said something that I don't want people to miss. And because you said it real quick, he's like, I pay my dues. Talk about that, because again, people see you right here, right now. People don't know that you've been with the Ramsey Company for a minute before you had your own show, before you were out there doing your own thing. Concretize it for people, because you just said sometimes we shoot for the wrong rung of the ladder to start out with. You left Atlanta to come to Nashville to start paying dues to get to the place that you're at today. So encourage somebody with that part of the journey and how it propelled you to sit in the seats that you're sitting in now.
Yeah, we do a deep dive on this question in stage 5 of the book, Get Promoted. And what does it take to actually get where you want to go? And we talk about the things you need to be doing and then the things you need to be becoming. Doing and becoming. And this is the answer to this bigger question of paying your dues. One of the things that we as humans struggle with, and this is what I want to encourage you folks with, we struggle so much with patience. We get the persistence piece, but we forget the patience is the superpower, is the juice, the fuel that powers our persistence. Because absent of patience, you will eventually fall off. You just won't stay with it. Stick-to-itiveness comes from patience. And we as humans want progress, right? We're just wired for progress. And so we get in this now. And we, 6 months ago, we would have chewed our right leg off for the opportunity in the now. We get in the now for 2 weeks and we're start looking at the next. And there is no next if we don't win the now. And so my encouragement to you folks is anything worth doing is going to take time. It is going to take persistence and patience because it is a process. And if you truly step into the process, understand that you will be doing, and you will be waiting. We're talking about paying off debt, losing weight, repairing relationships and brokenness, doing the work that we were created to do, stepping into the dream job. All of those things involve a process. And there is no persistence, absence of patience. I suck at patience. We all do. But I have learned that there is a tension between getting up every day, doing what you have to do, and waiting long enough for the results to pay off so we can do what we want to do. One of my favorite movies of all time is called The Great Debaters. It's a great story based on a true story. And there's a young man who's a great student, and he's a star on the debate team. And Forrest Whitaker, the great actor, plays his father. And there's a scene where he's running out of the house and he's on his way to debate practice. And his father's like, whoa, 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 where are you going? And he's like, I'm going to debate practice. And he says, did you finish your studies? Did you do your studies? And the kid's like, no, I didn't, but I've got to do this. This is a world-class opportunity. We're defying the odds. I mean, it's a truly wonderful story. And his dad says, no, there is no debate team if you don't do your work. Remember what I've taught you. You do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. And it's a wonderful statement, but you can't do that. It's a wonderful little bumper sticker statement. But underneath that statement is, we'll never get to do what we want to do if we don't have the patience to do what we have to do and wait upon the result, because we can't control the timing. What we can control is our participation and staying in the game. And patience is a muscle. It must be developed, because when you learn to wait, that's when the greatness comes along. But you've got to be there when it shows up.
So tell everybody a little bit more about the book, what they'll find when they pick it up, and also how they can stay in touch with you on the internet streets.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Well, the book is what the title says it is. It's going to show you how to move from paycheck to purpose. I want you to have a fatter paycheck, but I also want you to have tremendous purpose in your work. I want you to be juiced on Monday morning, fulfilled on Friday evening. And so it's the 7 stages. It'll take you from discovery all the way to the top, giving yourself away, where you go from income to impact. You go from working to giving. And that is what we all long to do, is to make a contribution in this world that is a legacy for us and to us. And so it's the entire journey. And I don't care if you want to move into office work and you just want to be an office manager, you want to be a missionary, or you want to be a CEO. This book is for everybody. And it's going to unveil the clear path. It's going to tactically tell you how to get there. It's not a motivational, inspirational book with a bunch of, bumper stickers. It's, here's how you do it. Here's how you get there. KenColeman.com, or to buy it anywhere books are sold. But also point out, we've got a wonderful tool called the Get Clear Career Assessment. That is the compass. And in the first 2 chapters, we unveil how to get clear, where you can do it yourself, old style, right? But we also have an assessment that in 20 minutes or less will do it for you and give you a detailed report on your talent, passion, and mission, fill out a purpose statement for you that becomes your compass. And then the rest of the book is the field guide up the mountain. All of that at KenColeman.com. And I'd love for people to connect with me on Instagram at Ken Coleman. Check out the show where you can call me and I can coach you one-on-one live every day for 2 hours. So all the details, KenColeman.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share all your wisdom with our audience today. We appreciate it greatly.
Thanks for your friendship.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Everything that you need to know to get started on this journey. A lot of you all are on this journey. We know, we see the comments, we see the emails. You're trying to figure it out. And it's important that you do. It's important to know that you haven't missed the mark, that it's not too late, that the pivot that's in your heart, you can do, but you need to take the proper steps to do it. Don't do anything recklessly. Don't do anything frivolously. There's a resource here in Ken's new book, From Paycheck to Purpose, that can help you take each step with wisdom, right? Part of taking dominion is to move in wisdom. So please check the description box if you're watching the YouTube. Check the show notes if you're listening to the podcast. There's a link right there with this book. Invest in yourself and do what you have to do to get to the place that you feel that God is calling you to be at. We got resources and episodes and all kind of stuff just like this at our website, hisandhermoney.com. And like we said at the top, we know you heard something good. Don't be a stingy friend. Share this. Every social media platform, our handle is at His and Her Money, and we will thank you and shout you out as well. That's all we got for this time, guys. It's been great. Till next time. Peace.